Thank you everyone for joining today's session. Let us start our session with Pranam Mantras. Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chaksurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Namaho Vishnupadaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Sunyavadi Paschata Deshatarine वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपासिन्धुव एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौरभक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम Rama Rama Hare Hare. Let me share my screen. So we are reading the son of Drona punished, chapter 7, it's number 9 onwards. Text number 9. Shaunakumvacha Savai Nivruti Nirata Sarvatropekshako Muni Kashyava Pratim Etam Atma Rama Samabhyashat. Translation purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Hare Krishna. Ganesh Prabhu.
Sri Saunaka asked Sutta Goswami. Sri Sukadeva Goswami was already on the path of self-realization, and thus he was pleased with his own self. So why did he take the trouble to undergo the study of such a vast literature? Purport. For the people in general, the highest perfection of life is to cease from material activities and be fixed on the path of self-realization. Those who take pleasure in sense enjoyment or those who are fixed in material bodily welfare work are called karmas. Out of thousands and millions of such karmis, one may become an Atmarama by self-realization. Atmarama means self. Atma means self and Arama means to take pleasure. Everyone is searching after the highest pleasure, but the standard of pleasure of one may be different from the standard of another. Therefore, the standard of pleasure enjoyed by the karmis is different from that of Atmaramas. The Atmaramas are completely indifferent to material enjoyment in every respect. Srila Sukadeva Goswami had already attained that stage, and still he was attracted to undergo the trouble of studying the great Bhagavatam literature. This means that Srimad Bhagavatam is a postgraduate study even for the Atmaramas, who have surpassed all the studies of Vedic knowledge.
Sloka. Sutavacha Atmaramam cha munayo nirgranta api urukrame kuruvanti ahetukim bhaktim iti ittam bhuta guno hari. Translation purport by Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Ganesh Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. Translation. Sutta Goswami said, all different varieties of Atma Ramas, those who take pleasure in the Atma or spirit self, especially those established on the path of self-realization, though freed from all kind of material bondage, desire to render unalloyed devotional service unto the personality of Godhead. This means that the Lord possesses transcendental qualities and therefore can attract everyone, including liberated souls. Purport. Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu explained this Atma Rama sloka very vividly before his chief devotee, Srila Sanatana Goswami. He points out 11 factors in the slokas, namely Atma Rama Munyaha Nirgrantaha Api Cha Urukrama Kuruvanti Haitukim Bhaktim Itham Bhuta Jnana Gunaha and Harihi, according to the Vishwa Prakasa Sanskrit Dictionary. There are several synonyms for the word Atma, which are as follows: Brahman, the absolute truth; body, mind, endeavor, endurance, intelligence, and personal habits. The word Muniha refers to those who are thoughtful, those who are grave and silent, ascetics, the persistent, mendicants, sages, and saints. The word Nigraha conveys these ideas: one who is liberated from nescience, one who has no connection with scriptural injunction, that is, who is freed from the obligations of the rules and regulations mentioned in the revealed scriptures like ethics, Vedas, philosophies, psychology, and metaphysics. In other words, fools, illiterate, origins, etc., who have no connection with regulated principles. 3. A capitalist and one who is penniless. According to Sabdakosha dictionary, the affix ni is used in sense of certainty, counting, building, and forbiddance. The word grantha is used in the sense of wealth, thesis, vocabulary, etc. The word urukrama means the one whose activities are glorious. Krama means step. The word urukrama specifically indicates the Lord incarnation as Vamana, who covered the whole universe by immeasurable steps. Lord Vishnu is powerful, and his activities are so glorious that he has created the spiritual world by his internal potency and the material world by his external potency. By his all-pervading features, he is everywhere present as a supreme truth. And in his personal feature, he is always present in his transcendental abode of Goloka Vrindavan, where he displays his transcendental pastimes in all variegatedness. His activities cannot be compared to anyone else, and therefore the word Irukrama is just applicable to him only.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Swapna Mataji. Hare Krishna, Swapna Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Please continue.
Yes, Prabhuji. According to the Sanskrit verbal arrangement, Kurvanti refers to doing things for someone else. Therefore, it means that the Atmaramas render devotional service unto the Lord, not for personal interest, but for the pleasure of Lord Urukrama. Hetu means casual. There are many causes for one's sense satisfaction, and they can be chiefly classified as material employment, mystic powers, and liberation, which are generally desired by progressive persons. As far as material enjoyments are concerned, they are innumerable, and the materialists are eager to increase them more and more because they are under the illusory energy. There is no end to the list of material enjoyments, nor can anyone in the material universe have all of them. As far as mystic powers are concerned, there are 18 on, such as to become the minutest in form, to become weightless, to have anything one desires, to lord it over to the material nature, to control other living beings, to throw earthly globes in outer space, etc. These mystic powers are mentioned in the Bhagavatam. The forms of liberation are 5 in number. Therefore, unalloyed devotion means service to Lord without desire for the mentioned above personal benefits. And the powerful personality of God Sri Krishna can be fully satisfied by such unalloyed devotees free from all sorts of desires for personal benefit.
Hare
Unalloyed devotional service of Lord progresses in different stages.
Hare Krishna, Mataji. We'll get chance to help.
Okay, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Rekha Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Unalloyed devotional service of the Lord progresses in different stages. Practice of devotional service in the material field is of 81 different qualities, and above such activities is the transcendental practice of devotional service, which is one and is called sadhana bhakti. When unalloyed practice of sadhana bhakti is matured into transcendental love for the Lord, the transcendental loving service of the Lord begins gradually, developing into 9 progressive stages of loving service under the headings of attachment, love, affection, feelings, affinity, adherence, following.
Ecstasy. Hare Krishna Mataji, you are on mute.
Attachment of an inactive devotee develops up to the stage of transcendental love of God. Attachment of an active servitor develops up to the stage of adherence, and that for a friendly devotee develops up to a stage of following, and the same is also the case for the parental devotees. Devotees in conjugal love develop ecstasy
Ecstasy.
up to the stage of intense feelings of separation. These are some of the features of unalloyed devotional service of the Lord.
Hare Krishna.
According
Hare Krishna Mataji, really. Hare Krishna, Vanilla Mataji. Hare Krishna, Vanilla Mataji.
Hare Krishna. According to Haribhakti's Sudhodaya, the import of the word Itham Bhuta is complete bliss. Transcendental bliss in the realization of impersonal Brahman becomes comparable to the scanty water contained in the pit made by a cow's hoof. It is nothing compared with the ocean of bliss of the vision of the personality of Godhead. The personal form of Lord Sri Krishna is so attractive that it comprehends all attraction, all bliss, and all tastes, rasas. These attractions are so strong that no one wants to exchange them for material enjoyment, mystic powers, and liberation. There is no need of logical arguments in support of this statement, but out of one's own nature, one becomes attracted by the qualities of Lord Sri Krishna. We must know for certain that the qualities of the Lord have nothing to do with mundane qualities. All of them are full of bliss, knowledge, and eternity. These are innumerable qualities of the Lord, and one is attracted by one quality while another is attracted by another. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Yogesh Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Great sages such as 4 bachelor devotees, Sanaka, Santana, Sanada, and Sanat Kumara, were attracted by the fragrance of flowers and tulsi leaves anointed with the pulp of sandalwood offered at the lotus feet of the Lord. Similarly, Shukdev Goswami was attracted by the transcendental pastimes of the Lord. Shukdev Goswami was already situated in the liberated stage, yet he was attracted by the pastimes of the Lord. This proves that the quality of his pastimes has nothing to do with the material affinity. Similarly, the young cowherd themselves were attracted by the bodily features of the Lord, and Rukmini was attracted by hearing about the glories of the Lord. Lord Krishna attracts even the mind of the goddess of fortune. He attracts, in special cases, the minds of all young girls. He attracts the minds of the elderly ladies by parental affection. He attracts the minds of the males in the humor of servitude and friendship. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Sagar Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. The word Hari conveys various meanings, but the chief import of the word is that he, the Lord, vanquishes everything inauspicious and takes away the mind of the devotees by avoiding pure transcendental love. By remembering the Lord in acute distress, one can be free from all varieties of material miseries and anxieties. Gradually, the Lord vanquishes all obstacles on the path of devotional service to a pure devotee. And the result of 9 devotional activities, such as hearing and chanting, and becomes manifested.
Continue.
Can I continue this next part? By his personal features and transcendental attributes, the Lord attracts all psychological activities of a pure devotee. Such is the attractive power of Lord Krishna. The attraction is so powerful that a pure devotee never hankers for any one of the four principles of religion. These are the attractive features of the transcendental attributes of the Lord. And adding to this, the word api and cha, one can increase the import unlimitedly. According to Sanskrit grammar, there are 7 synonyms for the word api. So by interpreting each and every word of this sloka, one can see limited numbers of transcendental qualities of Lord Krishna that attract the mind of a pure devotee. Hare Krishna.
11th sloka. Harer gunakshipta matir Bhagavan Badharayini Adyagan Mahad Akyanam Nityam Vishnu Janapriya. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna, Abhishek Prabhu and Saraswati Mataji can share.
Hare Krishna.
Yeah.
Translation. Srila Sukadeva Goswami, son of Srila Vyasadeva, was not only transcendently powerful, he was also very dear to the devotees of the Lord. Thus, he underwent the study of this great narration, Srimad Bhagavatam. Purport. According to the Brahma Vaivarta Purana, Srila Sukadeva Goswami was a liberated soul even within the womb of his mother. Srila Vyasadeva knew that the child after his birth would not stay at home. Therefore, he, Vyasadeva, impressed upon him the synopsis of the Bhagavatam so that the child could be made attached to the transcendental activities of the Lord. After his birth, the child was still more educated in the subject of the Bhagavatam by recitation of the actual poems. The idea is that generally the liberated souls are attached to the feature of impersonal Brahman with a monistic view of becoming one with the supreme whole. But by the association of pure devotees like Vyasadeva, even the liberated soul becomes attracted to the transcendental qualities of the Lord. By the mercy of Srila Narada, Srila Vyasadeva was able to narrate the great epic of Srimad Bhagavatam. And by the mercy of Vyasadeva, Srila Sukadeva Goswami was able to grasp the import. The transcendental qualities of the Lord are so attractive that Srila Sukadeva Goswami became detached from being completely absorbed in impersonal Brahman and positively took up the personal activity of the Lord.
Practically, he was thrown from the impersonal conception of the Absolute, thinking within himself that he had simply wasted so much time in devoting himself to the impersonal feature of the Supreme. Or in other words, he realized more transcendental bliss with the personal feature than the impersonal. And from that time, not only did he himself become very dear to the Vishnu Janas or the devotees of the Lord, but also the Vishnu Janas became very dear to him. The devotees of the Lord who do not wish to kill the individuality of the living entities and who desire to become personal servitors of the Lord do not very much like the impersonalists, and similarly the impersonalists who desire to become one with the Supreme are unable to evaluate the devotees of the Lord. Thus, from the time immemorial, these two transcendental pilgrims have sometimes been competitors. In other words, each of them likes to keep separate from the other because of the ultimate personal and impersonal realizations. Therefore, it appears that Srila Sukadeva Goswami also had no liking for the devotees. But since he himself became a saturated devotee, he desired always the transcendental association of the Vishnu Janas, and the Vishnu Janas also liked his association. Since he became a personal Bhagavata, thus both the son and the father were completely cognizant of the transcendental knowledge in Brahman, and afterwards both of them became absorbed in the personal features of the Supreme Lord. The question as to how Sukadeva Goswami was attracted by the narration of the Bhagavatam is thus completely answered by this shloka. Hare Krishna.
12th sloka. Parikshito ata rajarshir janma karma vilapanam samstam cha pandu putranam vakshe Krishna kathodhayam. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna, Lovish Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. Translation. Sukadeva Swami thus addressed the Rishi headed by Shaunaka. Now I shall begin the transcendental narration of the Lord Sri Krishna and topics of the birth, activities and deliverance of King Parikshit, the sage or among skills as well as topics of the renunciation of the worldly order of the son of Pandava. Lord Krishna is so kind to the fallen souls that he personally incarnates himself among the different kinds of living entities and takes part with them in daily activities. Any historical fact, old or new, which has a connection with the activities of the Lord is to be understood as a transcendental narration of the Lord. Without Krishna, all the supplementary literatures like the Puranas and Mahabharata are simply stories or historical facts. But with Krishna, they become transcendental. When we hear of them, we at once become transcendently related to the Lord. Srimad Bhagavatam is also a Purana, but the special significance of this Purana is that the activities of the Lord are certain, are central, and not just supplementary historical facts. Srimad Bhagavatam is just recommended by the Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu as a complex Purana. There is a class of less intelligent devotees of Bhagavad Purana who desires to relish at once the activities of the Lord narrated in the 10th canto without first understanding the primary cantos. They are under the false impression that the other cantos are not concerned with Krishna, and thus more foolishly than intelligently they take to the reading of the 10th canto. These readers are specifically told hearing that the other cantos of the Bhagavatam are as important as the 10th canto. No one should try to go into the matter of the 10th canto without thoroughly understood the purport of the other 9 cantos. Krishna and his pure devotees like the Pandavas are on the same plane. Krishna is not without his devotees of all the rasas, and the pure devotees like the Pandavas are not without Krishna. The devotees and the Lord are interlinked, and they cannot be separated. Therefore, talks among them are all Krishna kathas or topics of the Lord. Hare Krishna.
Right. 13th and 14th sloka. Yadha vrde kaurava sunjayanam vireshva ato viragatim gateshu vrikodhara vidha gadha vimarsha bhagnoro dhande dhritarashtra putre bharto priyam draunir iti sma pashyan Krishna sutanam swapadam srimasi upahara vipriyam eva tasya jugupsitam karma vigrahayanti. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna Srivali.
Translation. When the respective warriors of both camps, namely the Kauravas and Pandavas, were killed on the battlefield of Kurukshetra, and the dead warriors obtained their deserved destinations, and when the son of Dhritarashtra fell down lamenting, his spine broken, being beaten by the club of Bhima, the son of Dronacharya, beheaded the 5 sleeping sons of Draupadi and delivered the heads as a prize to his master, foolishly thinking that he would be pleased. Duryodhana, however, disapproved of the heinous act, and he was not pleased in the least. Purport. Transcendental topics of the activities of Lord Sri Krishna in the Srimad Bhagavatam begin from the end of the battle at Kurukshetra, when the Lord himself spoke about himself in Bhagavad Gita. Therefore, both the Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam are transcendental topics of Lord Krishna. The Gita is Krishna Katha or topics of Krishna because it is spoken by the Lord, and Bhagavatam is also Krishna Katha because it is spoken about the Lord. Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu wanted everyone to be informed of both Krishna Kathas by his order. Lord Krishna Chaitanya is Krishna himself in the grasp of a devotee of Krishna, and therefore the versions of both Lord Krishna and Sri Krishna Chaitanya Mahaprabhu are identical. Lord Chaitanya desired that all who are born in India seriously understand such Krishna Kathas, and then after full realization preach the transcendental message to everyone in all the parts of the world that will bring about the desired peace and prosperity of the stricken world. Hare Krishna.
15. Mata Sishunam Nidhanam Sutanam Nishamya Ghoram Paritapyamana Tadaruda Vapsha Kalakulakshi Tam Santavyan Aha Kirita Mali Translation by Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Draupadi, the mother of the 5 children of the Pandavas, after hearing of the massacre of her sons, began to cry in distress with eyes full of tears. Trying to pacify her in her great loss, Arjuna spoke to her thus. 16. Kada suchaste pramarjami badre yad brahma pado bando sira atatyena Gandiva mukter visikhair upahare vakramya sat yat snayasi dagda putra. Translation and purport by Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Hare Krishna, Ganesh Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. Translation. O gentle lady, when I present you with the heads of the Brahmana, after beheading him with arrows from my Gandhiva bow, I shall then wipe the tears from your eyes and pacify you. Then after burning your son's body, you can take your bath standing on his head. Purport. An enemy who sets fire to the house, administers poison, attacks all of a sudden with deadly weapons, plunder wealth, or usurps agricultural fields, or entices one's wife is called an aggressor. Such aggressor, though he be a Brahmana or so-called son of Brahmana, has to be punished in all circumstances. When Arjuna promised to behead the aggressor named Ashwadhama, he knew well that Ashwadhama was a son of Brahmana. But because the so-called Brahmana acted like a butcher, he was taken as such, and there was no question of sin in killing such a Brahmana son who proved to be a villain.
17th sloka. Iti priyam valgu vichitra jalpe santavyayitvachuta mitra sutha anvadravadamshita ugradhanva kapidhvajo guru putram rathena. Translation. Hare Krishna. Swapna Mataji.
Hare Krishna. Arjuna, who is guided by the infallible Lord as friend and driver, thus satisfied the dear lady by such statements. Then he dressed in armor and armed himself with furious weapons, and getting into his chariot, he set out to follow Ashwadhama, the son of his martial teacher.
18. Tam apattantam sa vilakshya dhura kumara hodvigna manaratena paradravat prana paripshur urvyam yavadhamam rudra vayadyata katha. Hare Translation and purport by Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Hare Krishna, Anita Mataji.
Hare Krishna. Translation. Ashwatthama, the murderer of the princess, seeing from a great distance Arjuna coming at him with great speed, fled in his chariot, panic-stricken, just to save his life, as Brahma fled in fear from Shiva. Purport. According to the reading matter, either Ka or Arka, there are 2 references in the Puranas. Ka means Brahma, who once became allured by his daughter and began to follow her, which infuriated Shiva, who attacked Brahma with his trident. Brahmaji fled in fear of his life. As far as Arka is concerned, there is a reference in the Vamana Purana. There was a demon by the name Vidyunmale who was gifted with a glowing golden airplane which traveled to the back of the sun and night disappeared because of the glowing effulgence of this plane. Thus the sun god became angry, and with his virulent rays he melted the plane. This enraged Lord Shiva. Lord Shiva then attacked the sun god, who fled away and at last fell down at Kashi, Varanasi, and the place became famous as Lolarka. Hare Krishna.
19th sloka. Yada shranam atmanam aikshata shranta vajinam astram brahma siro mene Atmatranam Vijatmanah. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna, Venla Mataji.
Translation. When the son of the Brahmana Ashwadhama saw that the horses were tired, he considered that there was no alternative for protection outside of his using ultimate weapon, the Brahmastra nuclear weapon. Purport. In the ultimate issue only, when there is no alternative, the nuclear weapon called the Brahmastra is applied. The word Dvijatmajaha is significant here because Ashwadhama, although the son of Dronacharya, was not exactly a qualified Brahmana. The most intelligent man is called a Brahmana, and it is not a hereditary title. Ashwadhama, who was formerly called the Brahmabandhu or friend of Brahmana. Being a friend of a Brahmana does not mean that one is a Brahmana by qualification. A friend or son of Brahmana, when fully qualified, is called a Brahmana and not otherwise. Since Ashwadhama's decision is immature, he is purposely called herein the son of a Brahmana. Hare Krishna.
With 20th sloka. Ato prashya salilam sandhade rat samanhita ajanan api samharam pranakrichera upashite. Translation purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna, Yogesh Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Translation. Since his life was in danger, he touched water in sanctity and concentrated upon the chanting of the hymn for throwing nuclear weapons, although he did not know how to withdraw such weapons. Purport. The subtle form of material activities are finer than grosser methods of material manipulation. Such subtle forms of material activities are affected through purification of sound. The same method is adopted here by chanting hymn to act as nuclear weapons. Hare Krishna.
Already explored. So the key points which I got from in this. Oh, there are two types of Krishna Kathas. One is Bhagavad Gita and the other is Srimad Bhagavatam. Both are called Krishna Kathas. So one who is born in India has to understand these two Krishna Kathas and preach across the whole world. So by doing so, one becomes the devotee of Krishna, very dear to devotees, and devotees become dear to them. This is what the essence, main essence of this few slokas which we heard today. And of course, there are so many knowledge, so much information behind that. So these are the key points. I thank each and every one of you for giving me this opportunity to serve each and every one of you.
One more information is,
Yes.
Bhagavatam started at the end of Mahabharata. Where Mahabharata ended, there Bhagavatam started.
Yes, yes.
The narration.
Yeah. It starts at Sarva Dharman Paritejya Mamekam Sharanam. Thank you so much. Thank you, Lovish Prabhu, Swapna Mataji, Anita Mataji, Venla Mataji, Sagar Prabhu, Ganesh Prabhu, and Srivali Mataji, Abhishek Prabhu, Sasya Mataji, Yogesh Prabhu, and Sapan Prabhu for giving your kind association to me.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, Dhanavad Pranam for the association.
We will meet again on next Tuesday at the same time. Vacha kalpatarubhyasya kripa sindhu bevacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Ananta koti vaishnavrinda ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Hare Krishna.